How great would that have been if you just pulled out like some flowers out? You know, if you just like pulled out flowers, it would have been like, you just.
I have a flower.
Whoa! Oh.
The Tiger King was juice that wasn't worth the squeeze.
The Tiger King was a well-produced train wreck.
The Tiger King is fearless mania.
Wow. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode of a TV show or Netflix or web series or whatever the series might be, and then we review it. With us, as always, is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, comedian, and Miss Roz Stanley here today, special guest, who's also a comedian,
Hi, guys.
right?
Hello, yes, I do comedy, improv, sketch, the works. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm Ryan T. Husk, and I'm not funny. So, yeah, we're celebrating 20 years of Fallingtower, by the way. That's why we're doing this awesome podcast. I know, 20 years. So if you guys want us to review something, just in the comments below, say WTF Seinfeld or WTF Robotech or He-Man. You know, that's Watch the First He-Man.
You really want Seinfeld. You're plugging Seinfeld every time we do this.
That's because I really want to do Seinfeld.
Well, so do I.
Truth gone. There we go. There we go.
So I don't know. Let's talk about it. What did you what did you guys think about Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness, Episode 1, Not Your Average Joe?
Ooh boy, he is not the average Joe. But I mean, I don't know. There's just this like enduring likability about him, and like, he's a train wreck. But it's a train wreck, like you said. You got to watch it. It's good. It's lovable. It's a lovable train wreck.
Well, I went into I'm not the biggest fan of documentaries or docuseries, and I kind of had heard I've never seen this before. I watched it today actually, but I went into it thinking, okay, I know that I'm not going to be the biggest fan of this show, but I'm just going to like see what's good about it. And what I really liked about it, as I mentioned before, is that it's very well produced. Like the camera work is on point. I feel like the investigative journalism that the filmmaker uses is actually really good. And I also felt that the filmmaker did not, at least in this first episode, I can't speak for the other episodes, but I felt like the filmmaker did not inject too much of their own opinion one way or the other. I think they did a good job of trying to remain neutral.
You know, I thought that they did at first, but then it kind of averaged out a little bit. But at first it did seem to me, with my animal rights activist ears perking up and getting all like fussy-duddy about everything, I'm like, how come they're presenting this guy as some angel and they're presenting this lady as some terrorist? And there was some of that in there, like when she would say, I mean, it's all subtle stuff, you know, but for example, like when the lady says, you know, they keep people or they keep animals in cages and this and that. Meanwhile, the editor or documentarian is showing footage of a tiger in her sanctuary at the edge of the fence, making it look like it's caged in, when in fact it has hundreds of yards to run around and roam free, but it's not showing the animal roaming free. It's showing her doing the same thing. So we automatically make the connection of, hey, you're doing the same thing.
Right.
That's subtle editing that clearly is writing a specific narrative. But I think that averaged out later. I think that they set that up at first just to kind of like, so that we don't automatically think of this guy as a bad guy and her as a good guy. I think they've tried to, anyway, that was just my 2 cents there.
Yeah, it seemed like a happy accident too, because they had set out for the snakes. Like they were focused on the snakes, but then someone who came to purchase it was like, you want to see what else I got? And he had a snow leopard of everything. He's like, yeah, I'm sure he's got something in his car. Big deal.
If you
like
like my snake, come check out my van.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And there's a snow leopard. And then all of a sudden, After that, we find the rest of the world we've been looking for.
And there's that great
Everything
line. Does
else.
it need to be refrigerated?
Yeah, I like that. I rewound that. Yeah. Does it need to be? And he's like, no, once it gets acclimated, it's fine. It doesn't. If I'm standing naked in the snow in Antarctica and they say, does he need, warmth? And oh no, he's acclimated to. I'll never be acclimated to that.
He's getting used to it. Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm up here in Portland, Oregon, and I have gotten a little bit acclimated to the cold up here at least. So maybe spending time in Antarctica or Alaska or whatever, maybe you would actually get
fine. I'll do it.
But test it out.
There is actually a little bit of science to that, is that your blood thickens or thins depending on where you are, like supposedly a little bit, not enough for like a 30-degree difference, but a little bit, like, so your blood is thickening probably a little bit, in the colder temperatures. That's what I hear, but not enough for a snow leopard to hang out in a van in 100-degree weather.
Yeah, even if they're born in it, I find it hard to believe, because I am from South Carolina, which is where Doc Antles is. But I'm from Columbia, but he's doing the Myrtle Beach thing. And I find him to be, I'm not gonna lie, I find him a bit of an expert, if you will, but he sometimes seems like a pompous expert.
Right.
But I still feel like they showed Carole and Joe to still have just as much knowledge, if you will. Like, I don't think any of them were portrayed as dumb, if you will. They all knew something about what they were doing, and they were all very passionate about it too.
So when you were in South Carolina, did you ever go see Doc, what's his name, Doc Antles? Did you ever see him?
Bhagavan? I think he called himself Bhagavan.
Bhagava. He spelled it out. He spelled it out. Get it right. Yeah, no, I never knew about it until I saw this documentary. I was like, that was in Myrtle Beach the whole time, and I never knew about it. I didn't get a chance to be one of his girlfriends. So
there's still time.
There's still time.
Right?
Yes.
There's still time. He can,
Exactly.
I thought that dude, I mean, he obviously was the most knowledgeable, it seems, because Tiger King, Joe Exotic, was like went to him as a mentor initially to learn stuff, and he even had like people going there to ask him questions or scout him out or something, whatever it was. But they're not too far, because well, no, they are. He's in Oklahoma. It was the big cat rescue that's like in Georgia somewhere, I think.
Florida.
It's all this. It's just all over there.
Yeah,
southeast-ish.
This is the moment of the day where we just kind of take a break and don't say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I did want to say something about Joe's.
You ruined it.
I want to say something about Joe's. His appearance, though. Like, it's just like I can't stop watching it. And because I find it hard to believe when he was doing those school tours and he was talking to the kids and that sort of thing. And he said, he's like, I couldn't hold their attention, so I had to add magic. And I'm like, who are these kids that they cannot even have attention for Joe? Like, I was like, how? Like, if I was 5 or 6 and this guy came in and was talking to me about drugs, I would be like, my undivided attention would be on him. You don't have to do a magic trick. Say something else to me. Like, I find that hard to believe that he had to do other things.
That part literally made me laugh out loud. Like when he's like, and then I added magic.
That part literally made me laugh my ass off. I'm sitting on my thighs right now.
But were you rolling on the floor is the question.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I was ready to, but it didn't happen naturally, and I don't like to force things except for jokes.
Yeah.
So but you're right. That's kind of like the theme of things, where it shows how all this stuff evolved. Like at first it was about a snake, then a snow leopard, then they follow that trail that way. And this guy was inspired to tell kids not to do drugs until you're 18 and can be his boyfriend. But he wants to tell kids don't do drugs because, his brother got killed in, a drunk driver accident. And so then he starts doing magic tricks to do that. Then he starts getting an animal to do that. And then, like, it just shows like the whole evolution of how these things come to be.
Crazy place came to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. But he also said, don't do drugs because your teeth will fall out. But his husband, or one of his husbands, like, is missing all but 3, it seems like. So,
that was, Yeah.
It was interesting.
And that was another thing with the editing where it's like, don't do drugs or your teeth will fall out. And then immediately cut to, here's my husband.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. A non-gay husband, by the way, too. Like he married 2 straight men. So.
But is that really a fact, or is that just our interpretation of the facts?
You know what? I don't know. Interpretation is a big thing, especially with cats and people. There we go.
Now, Michael, you only watched the first episode. In that
Correct.
first episode, was that your impression that his husband was or was not gay?
Yeah, I mean, my impression is that his husband was gay. I mean, if you're married to a man and presumably having sexual intercourse with a man, I mean, that to me, in my mind, at least makes one gay, but I could be
At least sexually gay, right?
Yeah.
And romantically.
Or
Who knows?
open. He's open. There we go.
Maybe.
The lines are blurred these days, so I'm not one to make judgments
They
on things
Yes, they
that that I am not. So
That's true. Do you think that, changing gears a little bit, because I'm just looking at the picture behind me of that ravishing man with his mustache, do you think he originally set out, because he's pretty clearly exploiting animals one way or the other, whether you think it's 99 exploitation or 1% exploitation, he's doing that. Do you think he set out to exploit them, or do you think he initially had good intentions and it just kind of like evolved in into that direction?
well, to me, I mean, he obviously cares. I mean, I got the impression, at least from the one episode of the documentary that I saw, that he does care for those animals. I mean, that they were. I mean, you spend enough time with an animal, it becomes family to you. I mean, my cat is my son, and he's not a big cat; he's a little cat, but I still feel for him, and so I can imagine, if you're raising big cats too, you're going to have feelings for them. But I mean, there's definitely exploitation, but I do believe that he, from what I've seen, at least so far, that he did care for those animals.
Does your cat puke a lot?
He does, quite often.
Does he?
Sometimes multiple times a day. Sometimes.
Aww. Does he urinate on you?
No.
Like the
I'm-
other cats?
You got to
He's
stop feeding him vinegar, dude.
He only urinates in his cat box, and he does a lot. So
He does a lot. In that box.
Yeah.
In that box.
Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
same question to you, Roz.
Well, I feel like, because his first exposure to cats was after, I believe, his like serious accident of like trying to unfortunately drive his car off a bridge.
Yeah.
And so part of his therapy and who he was surrounded at the time had those cats. So I'm not speaking for Joe, but it seems like he's kind of trying to give back to them what they gave to him at such a crucial time in his life. And I think sometimes that gets mixed up with the attention and money making that having a tiger zoo can bring. So I think there's that natural performer that comes out in him. I mean, look at his clothes and look at what he says, and look at his music videos. He's a performer, but
his TV show too.
We got to talk about that music profession, by the way, because that totally, okay, first of all, I was like, well, this guy actually is multi-talented. If he can do magic and music and do that weird fake accent that nobody's buying, by the way. But
I'm buying it. I'm totally buying it.
But I was like, when he sang his music videos, we're listening to it. And I'm like, how does this guy that talks like that? And it sounded like it was somebody else's voice. I guess it's probably not, but it sure sounded like a completely different singing voice than that voice that was just impossible.
When the Beatles are singing, they don't have a British accent. So, I mean,
they
Right.
should.
I don't know. The voice sounded familiar because I grew up with country music and it sounded like a little familiar. I couldn't pin who it would be, but it sounded slightly familiar.
I saw a tiger and a tiger saw a man. Oh, no, it's a man.
Oh, it is Tiger Saw Me. Oh, that's right. Tiger Saw Me.
Right,
Yeah. Oh,
right.
what if it was Tiger Saw Me? That would be a different story. But he had, but also in
that's
that
track 2 on his.
Yes, tiger saw me and ate me. But in that song, he's like, tell all the hunters put down their gun. And the hunter in the video just puts it down. No fight about it. Just puts down the gun. But I've never known a hunter to just put down a gun.
Well, like, have we tried that method before? Just ask them. I mean, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's just be like, hey, hunter. Actually, all hunters. Can you just put down your guns? I mean, please. You don't have to like throw them away. Just put them down. I bet they do it.
For one day, put it down. Next day, pick it back up. Go do it.
Yeah, there was a lot of that editing kind of stuff. It reminds me of like when he would say something about all them animal rights activists or whatever, and then he's like, this thing would turn into a little Waco, and then it's cut to him shooting dynamite in a lake and stuff like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, I would shoot you before I shoot any of my cats.
Yeah.
Right. And you believe him.
He's loaded the whole time they're filming. I feel like he's loaded, and they knew that, that
in two ways.
And hey, that could, that camera crew, they, I hate to say that, I don't want to say they took a bullet, but they could have taken a bullet if they had to, taken a bullet for Joe. So.
Well, and it said that they started filming 5 years ago is when that whole thing started. Like 5 years of filming this guy before you put out a documentary. That's you're putting in some work there.
Well, that's how a lot of these documentaries that are so successful are done. I'm sure they have a ton of things out there, crews shooting things and recording things, and they're just like, it's just not coming out interesting enough, or nothing major's happening. But then there are others where it's like, they're trying to do a documentary on snakes, for example, and they're just like, hang on, just stick with this one. This one's going somewhere. And then eventually, after a year or 2 years, 5 years or 8 years, there's a story. There's an actual chunk of a story that really works. And they're like, this is gold, and a lot of these like true crime things work that way too. They just start following one, or these podcasts, they just follow one story, but it leads into something bigger and better a couple years later. And then they use that chunk. That's the real story.
Yeah. God bless Rick Kirkham, because I think he like got onto Joe before it even became a documentary kind of thing. And he tried to help Joe with his like internet show, which Joe is proud of. Like when they ask him about your show, he's like, it's on the internet for the whole world to see at 6 p.m. for everybody.
Yeah. 6 p.m. every day. That was such a smart thing for him to do, because he was a reality show producer, right? Rick Kirkham was his name was. And what he was like, I will make your show so much better and make it look so much more professional as long as you let me record the BTS, because he knows that's the real gold. And so he's recording them, recording him, and there you go. That's where this whole thing came from. It was brilliant.
There's your show.
But yeah, it definitely seemed like Joe Exotic. He was all. I mean, it turned out eventually that he was chasing the dollar. He was going to malls and like what his husband was saying, like sometimes 20-30 grand a weekend just from all these mall appearances, and then all his products. The big seller is the Joe Exotic underwear.
He also said that they were up to 14 people in the cab of a semi. I'm like,
with the animals.
I don't know if that's even a thing.
The animals were probably in the trailer.
Yeah. They were like in the cab. I'm like, how many couches do you have in that cab to fit? So who knows? But anyway, Mike, you brought up the gift shop, right?
Well, he's got skin cream. He's got
barbecue sauce,
King underwear, barbecue sauce,
sex gels, all interchangeable. Barbecue sauce, sex gels. You can all switch them, do whatever you want with them.
The sex gel is barbecue flavor, and the barbecue sauce is sex gel flavor.
Oh. It's all edible, basically.
And then he said the biggest seller was his underwear. Right?
But he doesn't wear it. He freeballs it.
Exactly.
We knew that was coming too when they asked him. We knew he was going to say, I don't wear underwear.
Oh, God.
I didn't know that. Maybe.
It's great. It's great. But I was wondering about the barbecue sauce. I wonder if the barbecue sauce they sell comes off of the Walmart trucks they got the meat from, because I could see Joe trying to cut some corners. I could see him being like, because he says he feeds a tiger for $3,000 a year, but Doc says he feeds one for $10,000 a year.
Right.
So it's like a Walmart Target situation thing going on.
I think it's even more than Walmart and Target. I think it's like Target and the dumpster outside.
Well, he said like he gets like roadkill, and like he feeds his tigers roadkill. Like that's not really premium quality meat, you know.
I wouldn't know. I missed that line, but yeah, I mean, I guess tigers won't really care too much if it's roadkill or if it's something else, right? I mean, they just want or human.
Well, the tiger's not going to care, but I mean, I feel like there's, you know, like it seems like at least that Doc guy is like feeding his tigers quality meat, you know, probably like farm raised and pasture driven. I don't know that much about meat, so
sophisticated meat, basically. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Huh. Highbrow meat. So then there's also, speaking of highbrow meat, there's this Carole Baskin character, right?
Oh man.
And there's a lot there, but I guess because apparently there are podcasts about her murdering or possibly murdering her husband. We know that Joe Exotic believes she did, but you know whether there's any kind of
we don't know that from the first episode. I'll tell you that much.
I thought he mentioned it, but anyway, so that's kind of his whole thing. You know, that's his arch nemesis. And let's ask our resident expert, Roz Stanley. Do you think Carole Baskin killed her husband? Have you seen any of these podcasts that kind of follow her?
I haven't seen I haven't heard of the other podcasts, but I still find reason to believe that, you know, that she did something, because it seems like when she does like later on talk about it, there's no emotion. There is no emotion when she talks about him. And I've never been married before, but I think if you're married to someone, you might miss them. But so it seems like there's something there that it disconnects, you know, right, there we go. So I think there's a disconnect there when she talks about her ex-husband. That's my theory.
What do you think, Michael?
Well, like I said, they don't mention any. This is the first I'm hearing about this. I mean, I've seen some memes, I think, about something. I just kind of gloss over the memes because I don't know what they're talking about at all.
Well, that's why this is like, I guess if you haven't listened to any of the podcasts, which I haven't, but the podcasts follow this or whatever. I don't know much about them, but when I
let's not promote other podcasts on our podcast.
I will say this, that I'm guilty of having this syndrome of when somebody says, you know, I think that she might have killed whatever. And then it cuts to her and she's like, yeah, I like to feed the animals. And you're like, oh, she got the crazy eyes. She totally did it. And then we just immediately go, oh yeah, and they go like, well, why do you think that? She just looks like somebody that would do that. You know, I can tell.
Well, in this episode, she does say, I'm never one that's had any friends or something like that. Like she doesn't have friends.
Right.
Like,
what kind of a psycho?
What the heck?
She's a murderer.
Well, she said that her first two friends were imaginary cats.
Right.
Like it was two imaginary cats. And I was like, it's not even an imaginary person. It's an imaginary cat.
Right.
So there's something
I had
there.
3 imaginary friends when I was a kid, and they were all people.
Exactly. With names. So it's just like and she's allergic as well. Carole is allergic to cats.
Right. Yeah, and she had that husband that you know, we're all quick to judge, and I'm very quick to judge, horribly so. But my first impression of this guy was like, boy, he is like doting over her. I mean, he's like her shadow. He's like, oh yeah, and yes, dear, trying to finish her sentence until she finishes it herself. He's like, oh, sorry, I was trying to help.
Well, when they're touring the little cemetery of the cats, she's behind him and she literally says to him, you want to go in front of me? You want to lead me? You know? And I'm like, what? Oh, and he's like, no, you're the Mother Teresa to cats. Never.
Right.
Like, it's like, there's a relationship there. Something there.
Well, she was playing the saint, like from the moment they rolled up. She had that little like garland on her head, and like she was kind of just, oh hi, I'm Carole Baskin, I'm the nicest lady in the world. I love these cats. I take care of them. I save them, rescue them.
Yeah.
So 2 things to that. Number one, we all know that the more somebody's trying to convince you of one thing, you could probably believe the opposite.
Right. The lady doth protest too much, methinks.
That's the one. That should be a saying. And the other thing is, we definitely could see what that relationship was with the husband there. Was he clearly didn't want to get killed too, right?
Hopefully not. It's crazy. It's crazy when he talks about it, because I feel like he has like a lawyer approach to it, and Carole has like the cat lady approach to it. And it's like, because he talks about the legal aspects of stuff, and she talks about loving cats aspect, and they just marry it together, if you will.
What a team.
What a team. Yes.
Michael, do you have a favorite character?
I mean, probably Joe Exotic. He's crazy. I mean, it's like he's got like 9 earrings in one ear. He's got like an eyebrow ring. He's got a mullet. He's a character.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but they're all very crazy. I mean, was there one person that seemed like they weren't crazy in any way?
No.
In one word?
No. In many words, no.
That's true.
Your thoughts, Roz? Are you going to say that Joe Exotic's your favorite too? That's too easy.
I think my favorite character is Joe Exotic's eyeliner. Loving it. It stays on perfectly. It is a perfect line. Like, it is like, and it's always done well. Like, it's the stiff, strong character in the story. But I think Reinke. I like Reinke. I think he has the prosthetic legs, I think. Because he's the general manager, because he, in the weirdest way, seems to have some level-headedness about him.
He seemed the most normal, like self-aware, like awareness of what reality actually is.
Yeah, because he's like, the cat people are pieces of shit, but the monkey people are silly. Like, there's other animal people in this animal world. This is just the cat people.
Do we ever find out how he lost his legs, or was it like a cat attack, or
he jumped from something and landed right on his feet and crushed the lower half of his legs, I believe. So that's what he says.
I would say that too, had I watched more than just the first episode, which I did. And we also find out why that one lady is missing part of her arm. That is because of kitties. Speaking of which, that's my favorite character, are the kitties.
The kittens.
There's just all the kitties. They're so sweet. They're just so cute. Even, I mean, the little ones, of course, like make you just squeal.
Right. Of course.
But like, but even the big ones, they're just like, and he's like, oh, you just want to love on me. God, want to love on me. Come love. Oh, I'm actually doing it to the tiger right here. You want to love on me. Just give me some of that snot love, kitty. Give me that. They're so cute.
He calls them sexy. He calls them sexy beast and sexy lions. Like, he constantly calls them sexy. And I was like, okay, there we go.
Here's my guy right here, Joe Exotic.
What
do you think is the sexiest animal in the animal kingdom besides humans, Roz Stanley? What's your middle name, by the way?
My middle name is Anita. Anita.
Roz Anita Stanley.
Yes, Roz. Well, it's actually Rosalind. That's my full name, but I go by Roz. Yes, Rosalind Anita Stanley. Check me out. Social security number. I would say the sexiest animal ever is. Honestly, I think pigs are sexy. Because they get in the mud and they, make noises. So it's sexy.
You make a very compelling argument.
See?
What do you think, Michael? Sexiest animal in the animal kingdom?
Gotta be a panther.
Ooh. Rawr.
Sex panther.
Sex panther.
Who was your favorite Thundercat?
It's obviously Panthro, right?
Rawr. Who is your favorite Marvel superhero?
We're not. We're doing Tiger King right now.
You know, it's all of a sudden other things.
Black Panther. Come on, I'm just trying to keep. I don't know what the sexiest. I think it's weird that you guys think our animals are sexy, but I have heard that people really think that horses are sexy because they're like muscular when they run. There's like a lot of.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. No, did you?
When you said muscles, because I immediately thought of their muscles. When you said that's why, I was like, yeah, it's their muscles.
Yeah.
Panthers have muscles too.
But I'm very much, on board with the Black Panthers too. I mean, cats are the best. And of those cats, Black Panthers, leopards too, because leopards have like the strongest jaws. They can carry an antelope in their jaw and climb up a tree while they're holding like 150-pound animal in their teeth. I can't do that.
Well, I do notice like on the Tinder that people have those tiger. They have a photo or a little clip of them with a tiger on their
They mentioned that in
profiles.
the episode, right?
Wow, yeah.
I
couldn't believe that was real.
It's true. They do it.
I guess I've been out of the dating game for a while. So.
There are memes about that too, about how they say things like, why does every guy have pictures of them with a tiger? That's even like a social media thing.
It is. It's and I don't know why I don't have pictures with tigers, so I don't fully understand.
I have pictures with my house cat.
Oh, does he throw up a lot?
Not on me, luckily. So.
But what about Shaq? What about Shaq being in there for like a minute? Like he's in there for a minute, and then it's like, yep, just bought 2 more tigers. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Exotic at the GW Zoo. That's what
marketing. It's like marketing just to get more people to go buy tigers. It was crazy just seeing him right there in the documentary.
Michael, how happy were you about Shaq being in the documentary?
I don't know. I was actually a little bit disturbed about it. I was like, what are you doing there, Shaq? Like, what? Why are you promoting this guy? And like, why are you getting little kids excited about owning tigers?
Do you think the tigers throw up a lot?
I bet if they eat something weird.
Or
if they eat somebody
food.
weird.
Yeah. I don't know, but if your cat ever does puke on you, you'll take a picture for us, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll run to get my phone, but I'll make sure that none of the puke slides off of me onto the floor.
That's
exactly
sweet of you. I like that. What else do we have? There was also a 12-year-old kid, some guy that said he met him when he was 12 years old, and he was showing him like creepy magic. He's like, I made friends with Joe Exotic when I was 12 years old because he was teaching me magic. He was like hiding things and pulling things out and doing all that stuff. But I couldn't really figure out like what he was later.
No, well, it was just the 12-year-old was teaching Joe magic because that's when Joe wanted to add it to his school tours. So he was teaching him at that time. And somehow years later, like the cat that guy is holding these years later talking about it looks like more of a wild cat than a house cat.
That was the impression that I got as well, that he's like, hey, you know what would help these shows? Magic.
So he just recruited a 12-year-old?
No, I think the 12-year-old told him, like, hey, you can make these shows more interesting if you do some magic like this. That was magic that I
You should have had a magic trick like prepared. How great would that have been if you just pulled out like some flowers out? If you just like pulled out flowers, it would have been like, I
have a flower.
Oh!
That's my magic trick. Got it, guys. And the flower is also a pen.
What?
She said the flower is also a pen.
What?
No, forget it.
Exactly. Found it on Craigslist. Just kidding. I did not.
I tried to record, write down everybody's names and who they were, but I don't know. There was one security guard that says, "I sleep with an AK-47 under my mattress at all times." But I think
that was Doc.
That's Doc. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, alive! I wasn't sure if that was him, because then at first I thought it was him, but then afterwards it showed the security guard talking, and their voices sound similar. So, and I didn't care enough to go back. So Doc Antle has a loaded AK-47, huh?
Under
his mattress, yeah.
Ready to go in case anybody shows up. And Joe wears a bulletproof vest when he leaves, and he's loaded clearly and all that kind of stuff. And there's those signs that say 24-hour security. We have cameras, all that stuff.
Well, him and his buddy, they had bullets with each other's names written on it.
That was sweet.
My goodness.
That was cute.
In case things went to shit, kill each other.
Who was that other guy?
That was Reinke, the manager.
Yeah, the guy with the prostate.
Okay, I thought he said his name was like John or something like that.
It is, but his last name is Reinke, and they called him Reinke.
God, basically. Too many names.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Rinky-dink.
Piss me off.
I like that his prosthetic legs look like they're tattooed or something. Like.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Cool. Yeah, he seemed to be perfectly cool with it. Wearing shorts and was like, whatever. Mm-hmm. And same thing with the lady missing the arm. They're just like, I just got to get back out to those cats.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh well.
Remember it more.
Okay. Michael Rosenberg.
Hi.
Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Based on this. Hey, it's good to see him, man. Based on this first episode, are you interested in watching the rest of the series, or at least the second episode? Are you dying to find out what happens next?
No, and I'll tell you why. It's just I'm not interested in this kind of thing. It's not really my thing. So when I was watching it, like I said, I was like looking at the videography, looking at the story, looking at the way it was all kind of put together. Because I knew from the beginning I wasn't going to be interested in this, and even after watching it, I feel like they did a great job, and I feel like also like the music throughout the whole thing was like steadily really good, really worked to support the story that they were trying to tell, to keep suspense in parts that needed it, and like I feel like that was all put together really well. But I'm just not interested in watching any more of this weird show.
Would you be opposed to it, or are you just like, eh?
I would be opposed to wasting my time on it. Yeah.
That you made Roz.
Sad.
What's your middle name again? Alita?
Yeah, Roz Alita Tiger Queen Stanley. No,
it was
Anita.
Oh, I was close. So that you made Roz Anita Stanley make like a Carol Burnett face when you said no.
I didn't see that. Oh, there we go.
Carol?
Cool.
Like Carole Burnett. Oh God, I thought Carole Burnett was Carole Baskins, and I was like, I
am. You're just a little bit obsessed with this show, I think.
Yeah, I could make a Carole Baskin face.
Carole Baskin.
I don't know if that worked.
Here's mine.
That's pretty good. What about yours, Roz? Better.
There's no life in the eyes, basically.
So based on the first episode you sell out, would you watch the rest of this series, Roz?
Hell yeah. Over and over again. Like, because, I mean, it's like, I think what draws me to it is trying to figure out what the truth is. And I feel like the more I can watch it and the more little things I can get out of it, I can be like, okay, got it. I know what happened. I see this. Oh, they didn't mean to say that, but they did. That's why I would keep watching it. I want to know what the truth is.
You want to find those Easter eggs in there that the producers and the Lions dropped in there.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're only really seeing what the editors want you to see. It's like there's like probably tons of footage of them doing other stuff that hopefully they'll release it someday for you guys.
Or you can just Google his show. You could just watch his Animal Network show. Oh,
I did.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
He has more music videos.
I might watch a music video.
Yeah. He's got a one called Pretty Woman Lover. But it's Ugly
About a
Women
tiger.
Love Him.
Oh.
No, it's about women. It's about women, which is why, still don't know what the orientation is there. So,
Well, he says he's gay. I mean, in the show, he flat out says that he was gay and that his father made him promise not to go to his funeral.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
He made him shake his hand and have his mom there as a witness. Like, I tried to play that out in my head, and I was like, I don't like thinking about it. And then he talked about falling driving off the bridge, and so my brain went to that instead.
Right.
Which was less painful.
Crazy.
Speaking of painful, let's change gears and talk about you, Roz Stanley, for a few, if that's okay with you.
Thank God. Yes.
It's about time, right? So
yes.
You're a comedian.
Yes.
Are you also an actress?
Yes, I'm also an actress or female actor, depending on how you want to use the term. But yes, I'm an actor. And currently, if you wanted to see something I did, I am in To the Bitter End, Behind Closed Doors. It's on Amazon UK currently. It's season 1. It's a mini-series. It's a 5-part mini-series. And It's season 1. I'm one of the lead characters. It's a drama horror series. And they're writing season 2 right now. And my character comes back in season 2. So we'll see what messed up stuff happens there, because it can be a family drama, and there's a lot of elements to it, but I don't want to give away too much, but there's a lot of family drama in it, so maybe some people die, so I would say go check
fingers
it out.
Crossed.
Did you get to fly to the UK to shoot that, or did they shoot it here?
We shot it here in Los Angeles, and but we have a fair amount of actors in it that are from the UK originally. So they put it on that platform. And it's GPOC Entertainment. That's the production company. So they were great to work with. I also have an Instagram where I do more of my comedy type stuff. And it's Hey Roz, It's Me. So you can find me there. I try to post daily. But you can find out more about my personality, who I am, and all that kind of stuff on my Instas.
Speaking of which, I checked out your YouTube channel, by the way. I think that's also Hey Roz, It's Me, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And it was pretty funny.
Thank you.
What I really liked about it was that all the videos were very short. So like 7 seconds. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like if somebody like sends you a video and they're like, check out my video, and it's like 23 minutes, you're like, there's no way. There's no way, dude.
Exactly.
But yours is 7 seconds. I'm like, I could watch at least some of it.
Yeah, at least hopefully half. But there's 7-second stuff, because that's when I used to do Snapchat, and I would download my videos from Snapchat, because those can only be 10 seconds max, I think. And I put them on my YouTube. But if you dig deeper into my YouTube, because it goes kind of deep, I have my characters on there. And
those
some
were
of the
funny. Thank
you. The audio visual part isn't connected on some of them. So it's kind of golden if anything, really happens with my career. But it's just stuff that is really old, not old, but it's just more of who I am as an actor. So, yeah.
I sometimes don't have my brain connected to my mouth. So I think that's similar, right?
No, that is 2 different things. Those are 2 different things entirely.
My bad.
It's okay.
Michael, any further questions? Cross-examination?
Yeah, you said you do improv also, or have you studied improv?
I studied improv at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. I also did their character program too. And currently I just got into their sketch writing program.
Nice.
So I'm venturing into the writing aspect, because I keep getting drawn into creating my own stuff or writing my own sketches. And I've been denying my writer part for a while now, but I'm delving into it.
Time to accept it.
Exactly. Yes.
What got you into, what did you get attracted to first? Was it acting, writing, stand-up? What was your first love?
First, acting. And it's acting in theater. actually, because my degree is in theater and a fair amount of my work is stage. So, but what got me interested in comedy was when I was doing children's theater, believe it or not.
I believe it, very much so.
Yeah, back in South Carolina, actually.
Oh.
And okay, don't have that reaction. But back in South Carolina, because some of the plays we would do, you have to keep the kids' attention because kids, and I guess maybe I understand Joe when he said this, he couldn't keep their attention sometimes, but they're the most honest audience where they will just get up and walk away, or they'll be like, I can't hear you. In a room full of, in a room full of people, they'll be like, I can't hear you back here, where like adults would just be like, well, I guess I'll just sit through it and I'll hear what I can hear, or like the kids will cover their ears if it's too loud and they'll be like, this is too loud. Or there's just so many things they'll say.
Have they ever said like, you suck?
No, I've never gotten that response, clearly. But they, but yeah, that's when the director of a lot of those plays would allow us to improvise at certain parts. And so that's how I got into improv. And I was like, well, let's do more of this and let's do more of it for adults or something like that. So that's how that all had a weird snowball effect.
Well, that's really cool. So we'll put a whole bunch of your information in the description box below, guys. So if you want to check out her YouTube, and you should, and her Instagram, who knows, I haven't checked it yet. Just go to the links below and have fun with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, final thoughts on Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness, episode 1, Not Your Average Joke.
I think it, in the weirdest way, is inspiring. Not to murder anybody, but it's inspiring to like do something with your life.
Oh, to hire somebody to murder somebody. Okay.
There we go. Yes, but it's in the weirdest way inspiring because Joe did something with his life.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, he did. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. He sure went for it, didn't he?
Well, let's boy, oh boy, and it's on Netflix, so check it out, guys, if you're into watching animals be, exploited and mistreated and whatever, if you're like that. But it was interesting that they said there are more tigers in captivity in the United States than there are in the wild in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Which
astounding.
Yeah, that's the word I would have used if I had a bigger vocabulary. So let's end the show with what this podcast was. I'll start. This podcast was enlightening and funny.
I'll go next. This podcast was exotic.
Ooh, this podcast was eccentric, excitement, and profund. Oh God, profund process.
I thought you were going to say excrement because that worked with the other words.
I was trying to say it was profoundly processing.
Ah,
there we go.
Don't forget.
What?
To remember.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today. I feel like I learned a lot today. I hope you guys did too.
I feel stupider than when I first watched this show. So
I wish we talked a little bit more about Carole Baskin because she seems to be the obsession of the internet. But maybe that'll be next time when we watch the second. Anyway, so in the comments below, let us know. Say WTF. Whatever show you want, not Seinfeld, WTF Smurfs, or WTF, I don't know, what
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. I was going to say Ozark. WTF Ozark, because I kind of want to watch that. And we want to say thank you very much to Miss Roz Stanley.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
And we'll see you guys next time on the WTF Fallingtower podcast, right?
Watch the first fun.